Unfortunately, there's no calculator on this computer. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through the steps, right? And you're going to take out your calculators and we're going to find a way to find the first factor. So there's two steps involved in this. Step number one is I'm going to show you finding the solution, finding a root on the calculator, right? And once you have a root, then we use what?
We use the factor.
Then we will get the factor and then we can use synthetic division, right? And remember, synthetic division is simply a shortcut for what? The factor theorem and the remainder theorem. It's actually a shortcut for the remainder theorem. Okay, so how do we find the root on a calculator? So step one will be the following. I need you to take your calculator and you see this thing here. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is the calculator. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to this button. Do you see the button that says mode? Right? You're going to go to mode. Okay, so you're going to click on mode. I'm going to say step one is you're going to click on mode and you're going to select, you click mode, right? So I'm going to press the mode button and it gives me three options, right? Some of your calculators, if you're using the 991, it will give you more options. But we want to put this into table. Do you see the word table? And on my calculator, that's option 3. So we're going to go to mode and we're going to select 3 and that is going to be table. Okay? If table is a different number on yours, then you need to select the other number. It's now going to give you the following. Do you see this? F of x equals 2. In other words, the calculator is asking you to input the actual function, right? And now we're going to, step 2 is you're going to input the function, right? It's going to ask you f of x equals, and you input the function. Okay, so I'm going to say input the function. Now you just type out the thing that you see, and we're going to use the example that we have over here. If we go back, it's x cubed plus x squared minus x minus 1. Now just look carefully. Do you see above the bracket button? Just look at the bracket button. Do you see above it? There's a little x, but the x is in red. Now to access the red buttons, you need to click the alpha button. Do you see alpha on top? So you're going to press alpha once and then you're going to input the function using this bracket button. So press alpha, now you get the x and then you press the x button. So first alpha and then the little bracket button, right? And then you're going to raise it to the power of 3. So there might be a cubic thing there, if not, yeah, there is. So now I've got x to the power of 3. Do you all see that? Okay. Then you type the next one, plus, and then alpha, and then you press x again. Do you see that, guys? Yeah. X cubed plus x. That's going to be to the power of 2, so that's squared. Right? Now we press minus, alpha and x again. Got it? Yeah. Do you see what it looks like? Okay, and then you press minus 1. Do you all see that? Yeah. So we've done this using the power buttons, we've used the alpha button, right? You should all have that on your calculators by now. Then you're going to press equal to. Now some of your calculators might ask you for g of x, some of your calculators may not ask you for g of x. Do not do not stress. Are you guys with me? Yeah. If it doesn't ask you for g of x, don't stress, okay? So I'm just going to make a note of that. So step 3 is press equal to. Okay, now it has captured the value of f of x. If it asks you for g of x, don't worry about it, okay? Then if you have g of x on your calculator and you're not putting anything in there, just press equal to again. It's going to ask you something, start, right? And for the purpose of calculus grade 12, we're going to say start equals, it's going to ask you for start equals, right? Actually, it's a question mark, and I'm going to tell you put in minus 5. right? Input minus 5. So when it says start 1, you just press negative and you press 5, right? And then you press equal to.
Now, why are we putting 5?
I'm going to explain that in a moment, right? And then it says end. And now it's going to give you positive 5 because you started at negative 5. Now, you can press equal to again for the end, right? So let's just put that down. End, it asks you, I'm going to say you can end at 5. That gives you a sufficient interval. Then it asks you for another thing. It's going to ask you step. What is step? Well, step, it asks you, by default, it defaults to 1. And I'm going to say for calculus grade 12, that is sufficient. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
That is sufficient. Okay. Now, input is minus 5, end is 5, step is 1. After step 1, you press equal to, and it gives you this table. Do you all see the table on the screen? And do you see what you have there? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to explain what this table means. It gives you a table, okay, after you've pressed equal to. And let's draw what that table looks like. Let's bring up a line. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to redraw this thing that you see here. Guys, do you see very clearly you have the following? You've got x and you've got f of x, right? And then you've got minus 5. I'm just going to give you the sample based on the question. Minus 5, minus 96. And then you got, if you just scroll down, you go down. There do you see the solution that I have on screen here is minus 1 and 0 on f of x, right? So we go down. So these dots means it continues. And I've got negative 1 and 0, right?
So do you know?
Okay, so good question there from one of our WhatsApp subscribers. They wanted to know, if you go all the way down, there's nothing coming up at 12, and that's because when we input the function, we ask the calculator to do the following for us. We didn't want to be laborious and substitute in minus 5, then substitute in minus 4, then substitute in minus 3, then minus 2, then minus 1. Some of your teachers may actually want you to do that. But we use the calculator's table function in order to put those values in for us and to just work it out. So we can ask the calculator to check 10 values now. Right? You could have gone on and on and on. So the calculator inserted in x, in your function, 5, right? And then when it inserted 5, it resulted in minus 96. And now step 1 meant you're starting at minus 5, then you're going to put your next value in, minus 4, then your next value minus 3, then your next value minus 2, then your next value minus 1, and so on. If your step was a half, you would be inserting minus 5, then minus 4.5, then minus 4, then minus 3.5. Do we all understand what the step was, the end was, the start was? Right, Kauthar? Okay. What I'm going to do now is, remember the solution must be when f of x is equal to 0. Now, do not confuse this with x equals 0. We're looking for what? F of x equal to 0. So here's my solution. On the calculator, if you go all the way down, you'll notice at minus 1, when you put minus 1 in the x, you end up with what? 0 on f of x. Now, if you go further down, is there more solutions? There's another one, if I go down, there's another one that says positive 1 also yields 0. Do you see that? That's on my table there, on the calculator. Okay, so given that I see that, I've now identified 2 solutions, right? And I only truly need how many? You need 3, but I mean in order to do what we want to do next, synthetic division, you only need 1 solution. So I can choose any of these. I just want to highlight the following. This tells me that x equals negative 1 is my
solution.
Therefore, x equals minus 1 is a solution, which means that
X plus 1 is a factor.
Therefore, x plus 1 is a factor.
Oh.
Okay, or I can say x equals 1 is a solution, and therefore another factor will be x minus 1. Okay, so that is how to find the factors, or rather finding the root of the solution using a calculator. We are going to use that process to find our first solution. You can do it manually, which means you can substitute in minus 5 with your head and your hand, minus 4, then minus 3, or whatever, till you get something that equals 0, or you can do it in the table method, right? What we're going to look at next is how we use the solution with synthetic division to find the other factors. Okay.